What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back, and I'm covering the MLB preseason power rankings in this video. Before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button, get us to 500 subscribers. We're doing a huge giveaway, and stay tuned as we picked the 100th subscriber giveaway. So make sure you're watching in these next videos, as that will be given away soon. But let's get into the video. 30th, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates. Terrible record last year, lost over 100 games, and didn't really lose huge players and didn't gain any. Dan Vogelbach is probably the biggest name they got here. He's hitting, I think, leadoff because, they have nobody on their team that's good besides Brian Reynolds. And this Pirates team is going to probably be one of the worst teams in baseball this year. And you can say the same about the Baltimore Orioles, but at least they have Cedric Mullins. He's something that Orioles fans are going to cherish for however long he plays for them. He's a great player. I mean, last year was a dismal season, but they had him. Ryan Mountcastle's not bad. Trey Mancini, great player. But other than that, the O's have no pitching, and that's their biggest weakness in a great and loaded AL East, and that's going to be their downfall this year. 28th, we got the Arizona Diamondbacks. Losing Cole Calhoun, a solid outfielder, I think is an underrated move. But they brought in some arms for pitching. Mark the Shark, Ian Kennedy, Zach Davies. I know these guys are kind of in their back end of their years, but hey, they're still solid players in MLB, and it gives them a chance, to maybe be dealt at the deadline to a possible suitor. Diamondbacks will take a chance on them. They're in a rebuild this year, so they're bringing in a few names. 27th, I was tempted to put this team even lower, but look at what they've lost. I mean, that's all you need to know about this A's team. They're going full Moneyball rebuild, and last year they were, vowing for that playoff spot, didn't get in, and just decided to deal everyone after the lockout. They did lose Marte. That was going to happen. They already knew that. But then after that, everyone was gone. But they brought back Stephen Vogt, where he started his career. I think that's a great fit, bringing him back to Oakland. And that's the only positive thing I can say about this team right now. 26th, we got the Washington Nationals. And this team, I think, is going to make a little bit of noise here and there. But playoffs, there's not a chance in my mind. That NL East is pretty stacked as well. Mets, Braves, and, maybe the Marlins even as well. Obviously, the Phillies too. And then you got the Nationals, but they got Juan Soto. Bringing in Nelson Cruz, I think he'll be dealt at the deadline as well, to a very good team that, needs a bat. And bringing in Doolittle, he's back in the Nats uniform. Steve Chiswick, some good arms. I think all these guys could possibly be dealt at the deadline for some prospects. 25th, we got the Colorado Rockies, the most confusing team over, I would say, the last year, ever since last year's trade deadline. Bringing in Chris Bryant on a huge contract. No one saw that one coming. But then they just let Trevor Story walk, didn't deal him at the deadline last year, and this Rockies management has no clue what they're doing. I think they're bringing in Chris Bryant for a big-name guy to, get people in the seats, but other than that, it's going to be a dismal year for the Rockies in the NL West. 24th, we got the Kansas City Royals, and this is a team I think they could make a huge leap this year, get to 80 wins in the AL Central, and I think third, fourth, and fifth are all up for grabs, as you're going to see here why I'm saying that. Bringing in Zach Greinke is a great veteran arm. He's reliable, and that rotation last year was very questionable. Bobby Witt Jr., obviously he's up. He's playing pretty good so far. And the Royals have a little bit of promise here. Benintendi needs a better season out of him. Mondesi, if he can stay healthy. The Royals are a very good team, I think, and they should probably finish around the middle of the pack, I think. Middle to back end of the pack here. 23rd, we got the Cincinnati Reds. Obviously, losing Nick Castellanos, one of baseball's best hitters, is a big blow to this team. But they responded by bringing in Tommy Pham, a veteran outfielder. He's pretty solid. Obviously, it's not a Castellanos, but it's a good subtraction and addition right there. Solano is a very good average hitter. I think he's a name that no one really talks about in the MLB. And Hunter Strickland, good bullpen arm, but nothing to write home about. It's the Reds here. I think they're going to be floating around 500, a little under 500 this year. They exceeded expectations last year, and I think this year they're just going to be right around 500 again. We get the Cleveland Guardians, and this is a team where nothing happened except losing two players. And the biggest thing apparently this offseason was them changing their name from the Indians to the Guardians, and they just need a healthy year out of Shane Bieber. I think that's what they're planning on this year. Hitting wise, it's Jose Ramirez or bust. And the staff is a very solid staff. I'd say mid tier. I don't think they're going to go 80 and 82 like they did last year. I think last year was just a exceeding expectations year, but that's why we have them here at 22nd. 21st, we got Miami Marlins. Bringing in Avisail, Garcia, and Jorge Soler to bolster that outfield is very good. I think this Marlins team could make a surprise run in the NL East. If the Mets falter, Miami could step in and be that team. Even the Braves or the Phillies, whoever falters, I think Miami's going to be the three. No matter what happens, Miami will finish third this year in that division, is my opinion. The Marlins are going to be way better than last year, and I think they'll probably win at least 8 more games, around 75 wins, close to 500. It's going to be a division that's all going to beat up on each other. Miami's going to take advantage of some matchups, and a young staff could lead to some big years for some guys, and I think that's what's going to happen. 20th, we got the Chicago Cubs, and they didn't really lose too much this offseason, but they gained a lot. They brought in Suzuki, Marcus Stroman, VR, Givens, some solid veteran guys that are going to produce for them and already are producing for them. But obviously, losing Bryant, Rizzo, and Baez at the trade deadline brought in some guys like Nico Hornier, who is starting second baseman for the Cubs. Nick Madrigal, starting second baseman for the Cubs. He's a very solid player, and I think they already have won that trade because Kimbrel's gone from Chicago, and they got Pollock. Pollock's on the IL right now, and the Cubs are looking like they could be exceeding expectations so far. I know right now it's only April 15th as I'm making this video, so I've seen a little bit of the team so far, but coming into the year, didn't see them getting off to this hot start. 19th, we got the Texas Rangers, and this is the biggest question mark team you can put on this list. 19th, it could be too high, it could be too low. Bringing in Seager and Simeon, spending a lot of money to get those guys, and then finishing their roster with some 1-year, 2-year deals, get the roster filled with some veterans. But the Rangers, I don't know. There's really not much to be said other than Corey Seager just got walked tonight with bases loaded. So he got the Barry Bonds treatment. So props to him. But this Rangers team could be a fun team to watch this year, or it could be a huge disappointment. The Twins, well, they brought in Correa on a 3-year deal, over $100 million. And nobody saw that one coming. Declined the Tigers' offer, I think, of around $250 million. He declined it for like 8 years. But in the long run, I think that's a very good decision for both parties. Correa, if he puts up another solid year or two, he can get another big deal with a team that he really wants to go to. And the Tigers save money by getting Baez. And obviously, because I'm a Tigers fan, as you can see, I just think it's a win on both sides. But the Twins, I think people are kind of riding them too high right now. I don't really see them doing as good as people have them at. I think they're going to be around this record that they were at last year. 17th, we got the Seattle Mariners. Exceeded expectations last year, 90 and 72, just missing out on the playoffs. They lost 3 arms, but they brought in 2, and Robbie Ray, the AL Cy Young winner, and Sergio Romo, a veteran solid bullpen arm to bolster that roster and pen. Mariners, Jared Kelenic is going to be the story if he can have a good year, because last year was very bad rookie year. But if he has a good sophomore year, I think the sky's the limit for this Mariners team. They are in a very competitive division, but someone's going to surge. And I think, I'm not saying the Astros are not going to win the division, but I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think. And the Mariners could be that team. 16th, we got my Detroit Tigers. Great offseason, in my opinion. Getting rid of Nico and Matt Boyd. It was time to let some guys go that helped us get to this point. And how they brought in Baez, Eduardo Rodriguez, Andrew Chafin, Michael Pineda, and traded for Austin Meadows. I'm just excited right now. Torkelson pretty much won the game tonight with a 2-run home run against the Royals. The prospects are coming up. We still get Riley Green coming back soon in about a month. Chafin hasn't pitched one game for us. Pineda hasn't pitched a game for us. And I'm just very excited. This team is going to do some things, I think, this year. I'm not saying what they're going to do, but you're going to have to see that playoff bracket and see in our next video. So make sure you're in that one. But the Tigers, I'm liking what's going on right now here in Motown. 15th, we've got the LA Angels. Noah Syndergaard, I think, is the biggest name on this list. And if he has a very solid year like he used to have a few years ago. I mean, this Angels team, that's what they need. A solid pitcher behind Ohtani. And I don't know. It's just hard to say because we haven't seen healthy seasons from Trout and Ohtani playing together for a full year. I'm liking around 500 again for this Angels team. And, in that ALS, I said someone's got to compete with the Astros. But the big question mark is who is going to be that team. 14th, we got San Francisco Giants. Last year, came out of nowhere making that run, 107 wins. This year, I don't see that happening. They lost Chris Bryant, Kevin Gausman, Solano, Cueto. They brought in Rondon, which was a very solid addition for getting rid of Gausman. Jack Peterson and Matt Boyd, I think those are two veterans that are going to help this team out. But the Giants are still going to be a solid team. 107 wins. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think you're looking at a 85 to 90 win ball club here. Speaking of 90 win ball clubs, you got the St. Louis Cardinals at 13. This offseason, nothing big, but just did enough. They're still here, still solid team of Arenado and Goldschmidt that are going to carry this team. But don't rule out Harrison Bader and Tyler O'Neill in the outfield. I think those are two guys that don't get enough credit for this Cardinals team. And that's why they're here at 13. The bats is what carries this team. 12, we got the San Diego Padres. Subtractions, okay, just bring the next guy up. Additions, okay, it's whatever. But CJ Abrams, he's the prospect right now for the Padres. He's up in the majors, playing short, playing some outfield. We'll just see what happens with Tatis when he gets healthy and how they're going to handle that situation. But the Padres, I think they're going to be a little better than last year after that huge disappointment last year. 11th, we got the Milwaukee Brewers. Lost two solid bats in lineup, but they brought in a veteran in McCutchen who just gets it done day in, day out. And with Yelich, I think if he has a very good bounce back year, which I expect him to do, this Brewers team is looking like another NL Central champion. 10, we got the New York Mets, and this is a team that lost a ton of big guys, but brought in a ton of big guys. Losing Baez, Stroman, Syndergaard, Loop, Familia, and Pilar, but they brought in Scherzer, Marte, Escobar, Canaan, Ottavino. I mean, it's a good exchange, I think. They lost some pitching, but you got the star in Max Scherzer, and you got Starling Marte, which I think is the single-handed most underrated player in baseball for the last 3-4 years. I mean, no one talks about him, and he gets it done day in, day out, stealing bases, hitting bombs, RBIs, average. I mean, this is your typical guy you want on the team. And the Mets, they paid a price for him, but it was a very good price. And I think the Mets are going to be around 500 again. Once I keep saying that NL East is just going to beat each other up. At 9, another NL East team, Phillies. Bringing in Castellanos and Schwarber helps Harper so much. Now they have to pitch to him. And with that being said, which one are you going to pitch to? All three of these guys can rake if you make a mistake over the middle of the plate, but the pitching is going to be the question mark. I think at the deadline, they're going to bring in a solid arm. I mean, I know they got Wheeler and Kyle Gibson, but after that, is it a big question mark? Maybe. You're just going to have to see with this Phillies team as months happen, our power rankings as they come out every week. I think it's going to be a very interesting team to watch for the rest of the year. And, with that being said, Phillies, I think, are a team that could make some noise in the playoffs if they get there, just because, the NL East, they're all beaten up on each other, and we'll have to see how that goes. At 8, we got the New York Yankees, bringing in Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, but they lost Kluber, Gary, and Urshela in that trade with the Twins to bring in Donaldson. Yankees, the Bronx Bombers, with Gallo, Stanton, and Judge in the outfield. You don't want to run on that outfield, and you certainly don't want to make a mistake, especially in New York with that short porch. The Yankees, they're going to benefit from that with all that power. I expect them probably around these 90, 95 wins. It's going to be between them and the Red Sox, in my opinion, for that division this year. But it did get a little better. We're going to have to see. Oh, and don't count out those Rays. I know that they've been making some moves. 7, we got those Red Sox. Trevor Story, James Paxton, Michael Walker, Rich Hill, Matt Strahm, Jake Diekman. Some great additions that I think flew under the radar. Obviously, the Story one was a big, big signing. But they did lose Schwarber, Eduardo Rodriguez. Those are the two big names on that list. They're going to be around the same record as the Yankees. It's probably going to come down to the last week to see which team gets in the playoffs. I think it's going to be one of those wild card. One of these teams gets in, one of them's out. They're going to play each other down the stretch, and we're going to have to see who can fight it out and get in. And at 6, we got those Rays that I was talking about to not forget about. you can see there they lost a lot of guys and some solid guys too. Corey Kluber, I think, is going to resurrect his career here in Tampa. It seems like Tampa gets the most out of every pitcher, and that's why I got to put him here at 6 in the AL East as the favorites. Wander Franco is going to have a great year. After that, though, I think the hitting, they're a very consistent lineup, but you don't know who can hurt you that game. And that's what I think makes the race so dangerous, is you could have an 8-hole hitter just absolutely clobber you, or you could have Wander, just absolutely hit 3 bombs off your team and he wins the game for you. So I think that's what makes the race scary. Obviously, the bullpen is one of the best bullpens in the MLB every year. So if you're down a few runs going in those late innings, not looking good. 5, we got the World Series champions from last year, the Atlanta Braves, losing Freddie Freeman, Jorge Soler, Jock Peterson, Christian Pache in the trade. Freddie, obviously that situation was very bad, I would say. I mean, I don't care what it takes. I would be bringing Freddie Freeman back. I know you traded for Matt Olson and to be your guy, but it's Freddie. I mean, he spent his whole career there. He's worked his tail off to be a Brave, winning a World Series, and just get rid of him. My opinion, it's bad management, but you got to do what you got to do. It's a business, and I hate it. But they did bring in Jansen, Kirby Yates, McHugh, and Manuel Pena. They brought in some bullpen arms there, and I think that helps them tremendously. McHugh could be a rotation fill-in. A guy were to go down, but the Braves have a scary lineup, and just wait till Acuna gets back. Because remember, Acuna didn't play when they won that World Series. 4, we got the Houston Astros. Losing Correa hurts, and Kendall Graveman hurts, and Greinke hurts, and Yimi Garcia hurts. But they brought in Neris with some veteran experience in the bullpen, and Nico Goodrum, who needed to get out of Detroit. I think he could benefit from Houston, getting some reps there. But the Astros, I think they're going to sit around that same record. AOS is a little bit better this year, so they may not get to 95, but they're a solid team, probably north of 85, 90 wins, and the favorites to win the AOS. 3, we got the Chicago White Sox. Hate to put them here, but I got to give credit where credit's due. A very young team with the most promise, and bringing in Kendall Graveman, AJ Pollock, Josh Harrison. I think that's the 12th second baseman they've had on opening day, in all different years there, which is a crazy stat. And Joe Kelly, obviously, trading Craig Kimbrell for Pollock, it was a very interesting trade, but that bullpen is still really good, obviously. And I don't know, just they saw something that they liked, so they got the deal done. But the White Sox could, be in the market for another relief pitcher down the stretch. I think it's a move that's going to come back and haunt them. At 2, we have the Toronto Blue Jays, the team with the most hype this year after what we saw last year with Vladdy, Bo Bichette, Teoscar Hernandez. That rotation was nasty last year with Robbie Ray and Steven Matz. Lost those guys, though, and Simeon. But they brought in Gausman, Kikuchi, and Garcia, all 3 bullpen arms, or all 3 arms that are going to benefit this team. Don't forget about Hyunjin Ryu. He's a solid player, especially he's going to get you innings no matter what. It seems like he always goes 6, so he's going to eat up some innings for the pen to get healthy. But this Blue Jays team is a very scary team. And of course, at 1, we got my least favorite team, the Dodgers, just because they pay to get everybody, but why wouldn't you? Because there's no salary cap. So they brought in Freddie Freeman and Craig Kimbrell in that trade for Pollock. Lost Scherzer, Seager, Kenley Jansen, Corey Newell. I mean, a lot of guys that are very good, but they brought in guys that they're going to resurrect their careers, make them good. And obviously, they still have Trey Turner from last year, bringing in him with that Scherzer deal. Justin Turner, Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts, Will Smith. It goes on and on. This Dodgers team deserves to be at 1 with all that talent. But that's going to be it for the video today. Make sure you hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button, get us to 500 subscribers. Until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.
She never called back.